Gonna give all that up just to lie here?
Oh, no, of course not. Lying here is just phase 1 of the plan. Initiating phase 2.
Holly then tries to give this rousing speech about how you should get back up your... At this point, it is way too late to include any dramatic tension into the story.
Come on, Chaka.
We're then given some more exposition of Chaka's backstory in this film.
Mrs.'s tribe is a beautiful existence. They're carefree and nomadic, and they live where the food is.
Just like me. I moved trace times just to be closer to a Ruby Tuesday.
What now? Who bought this gelato? Piece of junk.
As Rick comes back playing a banjo for no reason other than to shit on the original series even further than it's already done.
I'm a woman in love, and I love what it's doing to me. A sexy woman. Yeah, large-breasted, full-hipped woman who craves a spanking. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's fine.
Apology accepted, dude.
While simultaneously giving another bodily humor joke with a mosquito. The next morning, he gives a speech about how they need to get back to their time while making more shitty jokes.
This isn't gorging on 2 pints of Ben & Jerry's and a whole spiral cut ham while watching not 1, but 2 Mama's Family's reunions, Marshall. He's gone. Here's the deal. Enix counting on us. The whole world's counting on us.
They know they're near because of the show tunes, as it's laying near some pterodactyl's egg mounts.
Across the sea, distribute your weight.
Keep an eye out.
He has to go through the nest to get to it, but he has to do it in the most unnecessarily goitous way possible in order to get a laugh from the audience. This of course leads to them all hatching, since it stopped playing show tunes. So he lulls them to sleep by singing it himself.
God, I hope I get it. I hope I get it.
Yes, this somehow counts as an important enough plot element to warrant throwing at us. Okay, let's put this into perspective, shall we? Fans of this were given this. 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 Stop now. It's all part of the plan. But fans of this were left with nothing but this.
One of these things is not like the others. Which one is different? Do you know?
We cut to that night where they celebrate finding the thing and swimming in the abandoned half-buried hotel. They then start to drink these contaminated coconuts Chaka gave them. And you know something bad's going to happen because it's in this movie.
Well, that can't be right.
No, that can't be right.
Holly then opens the portal as a giant crab comes along and commits suicide so they can all eat, which somehow leads to them making out with each other. You remind me again who got fucked over? Holly goes deeper into the void as she finds a deep, dark secret about the Tsar.
Phoenix the Altrusian has escaped our custody.
Got a mission for you.
The others try to catch up and...
Oh, God, this shit.
We cut to where Holly is being held hostage and...
We find you guilty of providing assistance to Enoch the Altrusian.
Fucking seriously? You turned him into a villain? Could you have possibly gotten the point of his character any less? In the original series, Enoch was simply an Altrusian scientist who wanted to return to his timeline in order to warn his people of the unfortunate future his culture would have to face as they would de-evolve into the degenerate creatures that is the Sleestack.
The Sleestack are not my ancestors. They are the barbaric descendants of a people who could no longer keep their anger in check, and eventually destroyed my past. This is my future.
And his passion for saving his people is what kept him so determined that he was willing to do whatever it took to go back, even if he had to do some rather immoral things to anyone who stood in his way.
These are your worst fears, Rick Marshall.
And he was even willing to see he went too far, and would even show regret for his actions.
I apologize.
And when he said he wouldn't take them back to their time, it was simply because he didn't have the coordinates to their dimension. He wasn't doing it just for the sake of being evil. Did the writers just watch fragments of this show without any context of what they were trying to convey? Or did they just think having a character that complex in a movie like this would have been too much to handle for the degenerates this film was obviously geared towards? Anyway, they fight off the Sleestack and set Holly free, which then leads to...
What about our working relationship?
And now you see why they changed Will and Holly from being Rick's kids into being just two random people. So they could shoehorn an unnecessary romance between them. Aren't you so glad that they completely removed their original character elements just so that they can have such a pointless moment in the film? Aren't you so glad that they completely went out of their way to destroy the family dynamic just so that they can cater this piece of shit to people who live outside of Alabama without having to fear any charges pressed against them? Aren't you so glad? So where were we? Alright, Enoch shows up and gloats about succeeding in his plans by controlling the Sleestack and conquering the world. Something the series Enoch never wanted. They find Grumpy waiting outside the portal as they force-feed this dramatic bullshit onto us.
Marshall, what are you doing? I'm not leaving without you.
Go. Get out of here. I don't love you. Go.
Ow! Marshall!
Get. You're ugly.
Like I said before, this bullshit came in way too late. Pick a genre and stick to it.
I gotta just level with you, bro. I misjudged you. I thought you were just a dumbass dude who dressed stupid, but I'm wrong. You're solid. Thanks. Thick or thin, I will follow you into battle at any time. You hear me? Absolutely any time.
Okay.
And second, don't try to go all sentimental on us in your frat boy comedy piece. It just comes off as insincere at this point. Will then tries his hand at this and brings out the grenades so we can have this exchange.
Are you kidding me? You mean you've been carrying a bag of fireworks around with you this whole time? There's literally a dozen situations where we could have used these.
Anytime after next.
So after all that false sentimental bullshit, Rick takes on Grumpy by himself. He tries to use the grenade and fails, which causes him to drop the cigarette lighter onto the pavement, causing Grumpy to step on it, leaving the imprint that we saw in the beginning. And he gets eaten alive for his false sense of sentimentality. Holly steps in and tries her hand in winning an Oscar, which will never happen, by the way, and he rightly tells her to fuck off. The Sleestack army are getting ready to enter the portal, and Holly tries to hold them off and fails, causing Will and Chaka to try and ram them into a shitty green screen effect, and Rick comes along riding Grumpy to save the day as they are now friends. You know, at this point, I'm not going to even try to rationalize this, because it's just not worth it. They make it through the portal and try to stop Enoch in a really stupid fight scene, knocking out one of the crystals, but Rick replaces it with Holly's necklace and fixes the portal. But Will decides to stay in this world, feeling it's where he belongs, while Rick and Holly make for the portal. They make it back where they have another non-incestual intimate scene and explain to the other tour guide what happened. Will gets Chaka back to his tribe, and then Rick arrogantly goes back on the Today Show and...
Matt Lauer Can Suck It by Dr. Rick Marshall.
Really trying to shoehorn that catchphrase in there, aren't they?
And to top things off, we get a mid-credits scene. That's right, not only did this film think it had the clout for a sequel, it also thought we'd be too stupid to notice it pulled a scene straight from Zilla. This is the hill the movie chose to die on.
I don't think so. In my world, this movie is over.
So that was Land of the Lost. You know what? This whole movie can suck it. I mean, Jesus Christ, if you wanted to do a parody movie, do a fucking parody movie. You didn't have to drag the name of an old TV show through the primordial ooze just to get some kind of rush. In fact, you had an entire library of Sid and Marty Krofft shows at your disposal that you could have used for this venture, and it would have worked out a lot more for you than this, since they lend themselves to a lot more stoner comedy and parody situations, but instead, you did this. We could have had a fully legitimate follow-up to not only the original series, but also the 90s revival series. But now all we have to show for it is this piece of shit. As for Will Ferrell, you could have used this as a vehicle to showcase being taken more seriously as an actor, but instead, you just went with the same old tired-out bullshit. It didn't work with Bewitched, and it sure as fuck didn't work with this. I mean, what's next? A Gilligan's Island movie? An Ozzie and Harriet movie? Or hell, why not a Mr. Ed movie while we're at it? You might as well at this point.
It's crap! Crap, I tell you!
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go try and see if I... If you excuse me... What the fuck is this film done to me?
Shut up, critics.
No!